In this tutorial, we're going to talk about a topic called variable scope. And that is the idea that a variable can only be used in the block of code that you created it inside of. And a block of code is just code inside of braces. That's just a block. So if we create an integer, I, it can only be seen from inside of this block of code. And as soon as the code in this block finishes running, this integer I will be destroyed by the computer, and it will no longer be usable. And nothing outside of this block of code can see this integer. So we can have blocks of code wherever we want. In fact, you can put a block of code wherever you can put a statement, just like this. So we can put a block of code here, and let's create another variable, call it double D, and this double is not accessible outside of these braces. So if we tried to print out D here, it wouldn't work. It couldn't find the variable. But because inside of this block, we're still inside of the block that this integer was created in, we could print out that integer. I know we really can't print out an integer quite like this, but in principle, you can access that integer from inside of this block of code. You just can't access this double from outside of the block. All right, you could also create two integers that have the same name, as long as they are in different blocks of code. But that gets confusing, and it's usually not the best idea. All right, so this tutorial was pretty simple. Any variable that you create inside of a block of code can only be used from within that block. And as soon as that block of code exits and it moves on to the next part of the program, or the program finishes, any variables that were created inside of that block will be, in essence, destroyed by the computer, because once you have exited that block of code, they're not used anymore, and they're just taking up memory that doesn't need to be taken up, so they're destroyed. Alright, that was pretty simple, but we are going to need to use these concepts in future tutorials, especially when we're dealing with functions that return strings. Alright, I hope you learned something, and I'll see you again next time.